Hello everyone, in this video we are going to see the revision notes for unit number 4, convection. So what do you mean by convection? It is one of the mode of heat transfer. It is a process of transfer of heat between the surface and the surrounding fluid. The law governing the convection is Newton's law of cooling, which states that Q equal to HA Ts minus Tf, where Q is the rate of heat transfer, Ts is the surface temperature, Tf is the fluid temperature, capital A is the surface area, H is the heat transfer coefficient, and its unit is watt per meter square degree centigrade. So Q is equal to HA Ts minus Tf, where A is the surface area. As you can see, the surface has been placed and a fluid has been moving over the surface. What is going to happen? A layer is going to form on a surface. A layer of an air is going to form on a surface. So as the surface is stationary, the air which is nearer to the surface will be stationary. So in that portion only the conduction takes place. While away from this surface, away from this film, away from this boundary, you are going to have a, a free stream flowing fluid, so which is nothing but your film region in which the temperature difference is going to occur. So the convection is known as a boundary phenomena, that is a surface phenomena. The convection involves a mass movement of a fluid. A mechanism of a convection are random molecular motion, that is diffusion, and bulk motion of a fluid. So convection is been classified further as a single phase convection, two phase convection. A single phase convection, a phase of a fluid remains same, while two phase convection, a phase of a fluid changes. So in single phase convection you have a forced convection and a natural convection. In a forced convection, again this forced convection and natural convection are being divided into internal flow and the external flow, while in a two phase system you are going to have a condensation and a boiling. So the boiling is further divided into pool boiling and forced boiling. So let us see the Newton's law of cooling, explanation for Newton's law of cooling. So Q equal to HA Ts minus Tf, where H is the heat transfer coefficient. Now this heat transfer coefficient is actually a average heat transfer coefficient. What happens when the film form around the surface, there exists a number of local heat transfer coefficient, namely as H1, H2, H3, H4 up to Hn over the surface. As H is the function of a property of a fluid, nature of a fluid flow over a surface, and significant dimension, so H is going to vary at different point over a surface. So therefore this H1, H2, H3 are named as local heat transfer coefficient, while in Q equal to HA Ts minus Tf, you are going to have average heat transfer coefficient. The fundamental law governing flow of a fluid. So there are two different law. Differential equation of a continuity, that is conservation of mass. It gives idea about a mass flow rate and average velocity and the nature of a fluid. While the second differential equation of motion, for incompressible and a fluid flow neglecting pressure gradient, we use a Navier-Stokes equation. So Navier-Stokes equation gives idea about a velocity profile and a pressure drop. So let us see the flow through the ducts. As we all know that H is a function of a nature of a flow. First of all, we must learn how the flow is going to take place. So flow through the duct, that is called as the internal flow. So at the entry part you have an entrance region. As the fluid proceed further, it is going to have a fully developed region. So the velocity is going to be maximum at a center and minimum at the walls of this duct. For a duct having a non-circular cross-sectional hydraulic diameter, it has been given by 4 into area, cross-sectional area divided by weighted perimeter. So cross-sectional area of the duct is depend upon the cross-section of the duct, that is, if it is a square, so we are going to have a cross-sectional area of a 2 into a plus b, where a plus a, that is 4 into a. Okay. So likewise, if it is a rectangle, so it will be 2 into a plus b. So a and b are the side of a rectangle. Okay. While weighted perimeter of a duct, weighted perimeter is that perimeter which remains in a contact of a fluid. So that is nothing but a weighted perimeter. So hydraulic diameter, it has been given by 4 into cross sectional area divided by weighted perimeter. So here in this table I have listed out the different structure: rectangle, equilateral triangle, annular ring, and I have calculated the hydraulic diameter for rectangular as 2ab divided by a plus b, dh equal to a upon under root of 3, and dh equal to d0 minus di. So where a and b are the side of rectangle, a is the side of equilateral triangle, and di and do are the outer and the inner diameter. For a laminar flow, as you all know that there are two kinds of a flow depend upon the Reynolds number, value of the Reynolds number. So if the Reynolds number is less than 2000, it is considered to be as a laminar flow, and if it is greater than 4000, it is considered to be as a turbulent flow. In between 2000 to 4000, you have a transient flow. So the friction factor, it has been calculated as 16 by Re in a case of a laminar flow, and while it has been calculated as 0.079 Re raised to minus 0.25 in a case of a turbulent flow. Now external flow, flow over a flat plate. So near to the surface, it is known as a boundary layer region. Away from the surface, it is called as a free stream region. So you can clearly see when the fluid is flowing over a stationary plate, a boundary layer is formed over a surface, and away from that boundary layer, you are going to have a free stream region. So from the leading edge, you are going to have some laminar region where the surface is parallel to each other, where the molecular surface are parallel to each other. In a transient and turbulent flow, they are going to have the higher velocity and they are going to be in a random motion. A thickness of a velocity boundary layer, it has been defined as a distance normal to the surface in which the velocity of a layer increases from 0 to 99% of a free stream velocity. Now let us, these are the basic concepts which we need to understand before moving on to the forced convection and a natural convection. Now as the single phase convection, it has been classified into forced convection and natural convection. Now what do you mean by forced convection? Forced convection is the convection in which the fluid motions are forced to move over a surface with the help of some external source. For example, a surface is being kept for cooling. A hot surface is kept for cooling, and we switch on the fan or we put on the blower. Then what is going to happen? The fluid is going to have the velocity. Okay, so we are using the external source in that case. So we can consider that to be an example of a forced convection. Let us learn governing equation of a forced convection. From the dimensional analysis, what we are having, and from the technical terms and from the dimensional analysis, we come to know that the heat transfer coefficient is depend upon the fluid velocity, that is density, velocity, length, viscosity, specific heat, and the thermal conductivity. So when we use this term and when we go through the dimensional analysis, you are going to have nu equal to a into Re raised to a into Pr raised to e, where nu, Re and Pr are nothing but a dimensionless number. Nu represent a Nusselt number, Re represent a Reynolds number, and Pr represent the Prandtl number. Nusselt number, it is been given by HL divided by K. Reynolds number, it is been given by rho VL divided by mu, and Prandtl number, it is been given by mu Cp divided by K. Now let us see the concept of a mean temperature and characteristic length. We will come back to this Nusselt number, Reynolds number, and Prandtl number significance after seeing the concept of a mean temperature and a characteristic length. So mean temperature, when the fluid is flowing over a plate, the mean temperature is surface temperature plus fluid temperature divided by 2. So Ts plus Tf divided by 2. Case 2, flow through the duct, it is bulk inlet temperature plus bulk outlet temperature divided by 2. So it is flow through the ducts. Characteristic length for a flow or a flat surface, it is the dimension of a surface along the direction of a fluid flow is taken to be as a characteristic length. And flow through the duct, a hydraulic diameter of a duct is taken as the characteristic length. So hydraulic diameter of the duct is nothing but equal to 4 into cross sectional area divided by weighted perimeter. It is also equal to surface area of the plate divided by the perimeter of a plate. So for annular passage, the weighted perimeter, after putting the value of a cross sectional area in weighted perimeter, you have a hydraulic diameter as do square minus di square divided by di. So where do is the outer diameter, di is the inner diameter. Now let us proceed for a dimensionless number used in a force convection. So this concept of a mean film temperature, mean temperature and bulk mean temperature and characteristic length for an internal and external flow is been used widely while solving the problems of force convection. So dimensionless number in a force convection are, first of all, the Nusselt number. It is been given by HL divided by K, where H is the heat transfer coefficient, L is the characteristic length and K is the thermal conductivity of the fluid. So it is the ratio of rate of heat transfer by the convection to the rate of heat transfer by the conduction. Second is the Prandtl number, which is represented as PR. So PR equal to mu Cp divided by K. So it is the ratio of a kinematic viscosity to the thermal diffusivity. It is also equal to the ratio of diffusion of a momentum to the diffusion of a heat energy. Then the next is Reynolds number, which is going to take care of the velocity part in a force convection. So Re equal to rho VL divided by mu, where rho is the density of the fluid, V is the velocity of a fluid, L is the characteristic length of the fluid, and mu is the viscosity of the fluid. So Re equal to the inertia force to the viscous force. So Reynolds number is going to be responsible for the velocity parameter. It is going to tell us whether the fluid is laminar flow or the fluid is a turbulent, or the fluid flow is turbulent flow. Then the next is Piclet number. It has been represented as multiplication of Reynolds number and a Prandtl number, while in a Nusselt number, and Nusselt number in terms of a Piclet number, it has been given as Nusselt number equal to C into Pe raised to n, where C and n are the constant, where Pe is the product of Reynolds number and a Prandtl number. In significance, it is the ratio of mass heat flow rate to the heat flow by conduction per unit temperature difference. Then the last one is Stanton number. The Stanton number is been given by a ratio of a Nusselt number and the product of a Reynolds number and a Prandtl number. So it is the ratio of heat flux in a convection to the mass heat flow rate. Now classifying the flow depend upon the flow through the ducts. Internal flow, the laminar flow, Re is less than 2000, that is Re is Reynolds number. If it is less than 2000, we consider it as to be a laminar flow. For this, the Nusselt number, it has been given by 4.36 for a constant heat flux, and Nusselt number equal to 3.66 for a constant wall temperature. While for a turbulent flow, we have a relation in of Nusselt number in terms of Reynolds number and Prandtl number when fluid is been heated or when fluid is been cooled. So depend upon the approaching fluid temperature, whether the approaching fluid is having a purpose of cooling the surface, or whether the approaching fluid is having the purpose of getting heated. So depend upon these two purpose, this Reynolds number for turbulence flow, it has been classified. Next one is flow over a flat plate. So it is also called as a thermal boundary layer or hydraulic boundary layer for external flow. As compared to the velocity boundary layer, the thermal boundary layer start from x distance from the leading edge. while the velocity boundary layer start from the leading edge, while the thermal boundary layer start from the x distance from the leading edge. So there are two cases, whether the approaching fluid is cooler than the plate surface or whether the approaching fluid is warmer than the plate surface. Now in first case the temperature profile is as shown in the figure, and what is going to happen as the approaching fluid is cooler than the plate surface, the plate is going to have a maximum temperature. What the plate is going to do, the plate is going to dissipate sorry the plate is going to dissipate its heats to the surrounding fluid. So at the surface of the plate, the approaching fluid will attain maximum temperature, while away from the surface of the plate, the fluid will attain minimum temperature. While in a case of approaching fluid is warmer than the plate surface, so at the surface what is going to happen, the heat transfer is going to take place from the fluid to the surface. So the minimum temperature occurs at that point, while the maximum temperature occurs away from the surface. That is, maximum temperature of a fluid will occur away from the surface, and the vertical distance at which this thermal boundary layer exists, it has been mentioned by delta T. It is called as a thermal boundary layer. And the next chapter, it is related with a natural convection. So as the convection, it is the heat transfer between the fluid and the surface, one of the mode of heat transfer without an external force. So in force convection, we induce some external force we use the external force to induce the velocity in a flowing fluid. But in a natural convection, without an external force, the fluid is set in a motion. The fluid is going to set in a motion due to the gravitational force, buoyancy force, centrifugal force, density gradient, Coriolis force in ocean rotational motion, and etc. So let us see the cases of gravitational force and the buoyancy force. The gravitational force will act downwards towards the center of gravity, and the buoyancy force act upwards. So there are three cases. In first case, both the surface as well as the approaching fluid is going to have same temperature. So there will be an equilibrium form. So what is going to happen? There will be a no movement of a fluid. So first case, A case is indicating same, where the magnitude of the gravitational force and the buoyancy force will remain same. Okay? The direction will be opposite, but the magnitude is going to remain same. In second case, when the surface temperature is less than the fluid temperature, approaching fluid temperature, the weight of the fluid will be more than the buoyancy force. What is going to happen? When the fluid molecules give its energy to the cold surface, its temperature and volume decreases. So buoyancy forces also decreases. Hence, the molecule moving towards a downward direction due to the dominance of a gravitational force. While in the third case, when the surface temperature is more than the fluid temperature, in that case the buoyancy force will be more than the weight. When hot surface gives out its energy to the approaching cold fluid, its specific volume increases. It displays more amount of a volume, and buoyancy force acting on the molecule will increase. So in second case, the gravitational force is going to be dominant, and in third case, the buoyancy force is going to be dominant. So governing equation of a natural convection, as in a similar way of a force convection, here also governing equation is been derived as from the dimensional analysis by using a concept of a technical concept. H is a function of heat transfer coefficient is a function of G, beta, delta T, L, rho, mu, Cp and K. So when the dimensional analysis is applied, we got nu equal to C into Gr raised to A, Pr raised to E, where Gr is nothing but a Grashof number and Pr is nothing but your Prandtl number, and Nu is the Nusselt number. So in the force conventional case, instead of Gr we have, in a force convention we have a Reynolds number. So this GR is the Grashof number. So let us see the significance of this dimensionless number. The first one is the Rayleigh's number. Rayleigh's number, it is the multiplication of Grashof number and the Prandtl number. Second number is the Grashof number. It is the ratio of inertia force into the buoyancy force divided by viscous force square. So Grashof number indicates whether the fluid is natural convection, is in a laminar flow, or in a turbulent flow. So it has been represented as G beta delta T L cube rho square divided by mu square, where G is the acceleration due to gravity. So it is going to take care of the gravitational force, and beta is the cause of a buoyancy force. So mean film temperature, again the mean film temperature to the external flow will be T surface plus T fluid divided by 2. The combined natural and forced convection, when how we are going to identify it is a combination of natural and forced convection by using this ratio, that is GR upon RE square. So if it is less than 1, then we can say it as a forced convection, because in this case RE is at the denominator, so denominator will be more. Okay, therefore this factor GR upon RE raised square will be less than 1. So that time we consider it as to be forced convection. When GR upon RE square, if it is greater than 1, we consider it to be as a natural convection. The convection to be considered as a natural convection. When GR upon RE square equal to 1, we consider it to be as a combined convection, and it has been influenced by buoyancy force and external applied force. So this complete your revision of unit number 4. The common terminology used in natural convection and forced convection are a mean film temperature and the characteristic length. So as we have discussed earlier, the mean film temperature for an external flow, it is T surface plus T fluid divided by 2, and for internal flow it is T bulk inlet, temperature at bulk inlet plus temperature at bulk outlet divided by 2. While in a case of a hydraulic diameter, in external flow it will be along the length of the external surface, while in the internal flow it has been calculated as 4 into cross sectional area divided by weighted perimeter. So these two parameters are very much important. These two concepts are very much important while solving the problem. Other than this, you have a new relation, that is Nusselt relation, in a case of a forced convection as well as in a case of a natural convection. From that you need to find out the value of H, and after finding out the value of H, you need to find out the value of Q, where Q equal to HA TS minus TF. So this complete a revision of unit number 4. Thank you all for watching this video.